So today we're going to go over some solo drills that I find useful for grappling. Not all of them are directly grappling, but I think that there's carryover just in movement quality on the ground. So we're going to start with this idea of rocking up. And so what I want is I want one leg, it's going to be bent, but it's going to be stretched out. The other leg is going to be pulled in, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this leg to pull myself up, and I'm going to rock up on this leg. Now, when doing this, what you would like is to kind of have the toes pointed in, right? So I don't want to be way out here where it's going to feel awkward to come over. So everything, I'm going to try to make this as pointed as possible, and then at an angle in which it's easy for the shin to roll. You can use more or less momentum depending on your level of flexibility. It's not that difficult of a drill, but if you're not used to moving on the ground, it may be. From here, you can start to switch sides. So I rock up, and this one will require a little extra flexibility. So I'm going to put this knee down, turn over, and this foot switches as well. Right? So it was in, now it's out. And now we're back. Rock, foot goes down, everything switches. So to give you a different angle, where maybe you can see my feet a little bit better. Rock, switch, down. Trying to think of the best way to give you the right angle. There we go. That's probably. The healthier the rotation in those knees are, the closer you can get this to the ground and put force through it. If the idea of having this rotation in your knee is still very painful for you, you can just start a little higher up. You can use hands on the floor for assistance. So that's a rock up and a side to side rock up. Very useful ground movement. On top of that, I think every grappler should be very comfortable with the 90-90 position, right? You can use it for general stretching, but just getting used to this idea of being able to switch hips. And performing rock ups from here. So now, as opposed to pulling myself with this leg being in front, I can push everything up. Those are two very good movements to get the hips, knees, ankles kind of ready for a lot of the demands of that ground-based movement. Let's take a look at ways in which we actually use the hips a lot in jiu-jitsu, or just other types of grappling, is going to be heisting. And essentially what that is going to be any variation where you're kind of pulling this up. Okay, so it's going to be this threading through of the hip. So you can start with something as simple as, right now I'm on the ground. If you're looking for self-defense, maybe I'm keeping some distance with the leg, blocking my face with the hand a little bit. But the basic idea is I have a post here, and I bring this leg through by raising my hip height and coming through. Now, usually what this looks like in a beginner's jiu-jitsu class is you've got that hand there for your defense, whether it's outstretched, maybe sometimes you're blocking more directly, but what you do is you raise and then you come up to a standing position. But it's really just getting this idea of that hip that threads through. From there, you can play with switching your hips, and you can do this, in more beginner-friendly ways, in which it doesn't require as much. So I just kind of come through, and I get my foot off the ground for it. I can have weight on both hands, but eventually I'd like to be able to switch. I'd like to be able to straighten that leg. I'd like to be able to throw that elbow. That's where sit-outs work in jiu-jitsu, right? So a lot of times I'm turtled, someone's over me, and I'm gonna sit through. So this is a bigger idea, is just being able to get your hips out from under you. You can play with the four corners drill. It teaches you kind of the same skill idea. So I'm going to lift up one arm and my opposite leg, and I come through. Something else that I think is fairly important is your ability to get up off the ground. So understand that if I want to build up, a lot of times someone's laying on top of you. And so this idea is I can't just come up like this because their weight is on top of me. And what I'm going to have to do is scissor my legs, right? So if my left leg is in back, my right leg's in front, or maybe you say top leg is in back, bottom leg is in front. Now I switch, so now top leg is in front, bottom leg is in back. And this is going to allow me to build up height much easier, right? So scissor legs, coming up. Now this is good for low position. So you go from under somebody, you be able to attack their legs. We have a new toy coming into the gym right now. The Freak Athlete, Nordic Hyper. So I can make that switch one more time. So let's say I'm on bottom. I'd like to swim in for an underhook. Boom, switch my legs. Now I'm here ready to go. And this means I can attack that far leg. I can maybe work my way to the back. I can attack with cutbacks, all depending on the reactions that you have from your partner. In that note of leg scissoring, particularly for jiu-jitsu and guard retention, is going to be using the scissoring of the legs to retain your guard. So you can do this on the mat. You can do it on a wall. You can do it on a partner. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach. So my right leg, my top leg is in back, right? So I do that. I'm going to do a reach, and I'm going to grip. So right now I'm gripping the ground, but it could be my opponent's hip. It could be their shoulder. And now I'm going to pull the rest of my body through. And I grip, pull through, grip, pull through, grip, pull through. There's definitely more places to take this, but I think this is a good start to just learning these fundamentals of ground movements. Let me know if you have any questions.